Your ancestors slept in 2 shifts for 300,000 years. You call it insomnia. And that misunderstanding might be keeping you awake. You wake up at 3:14 a.m. for no reason, no noise, no nightmare, no child crying. Your eyes just open and you're suddenly wide awake. You check your phone. 3:14. You groan. You try to force yourself back to sleep. Nothing. Your brain is running. You're thinking about something you said 6 years ago at a party. You're mentally composing an email. You're wondering if this is what insomnia feels like. You've been told that good sleep means 8 uninterrupted hours, that waking up in the middle of the night is a disorder, a malfunction, something broken inside you. But what if the opposite is true? What if waking up at 3 a.m. isn't a sign that something is wrong? What if it's a sign that something ancient is still working exactly as it was designed to? In 2001, a historian named Roger Ekirch published a paper that should have changed everything we think about sleep. He had spent 16 years digging through ancient and medieval texts, court records, medical journals, diaries, poems, novels, and even the Odyssey, looking for references to how pre-industrial humans slept. What he found was hiding in plain sight. Across cultures, across centuries, across continents, one phrase kept appearing: first sleep and second sleep. In England, 16th century medical texts referred to first sleep as the most natural, restorative phase of rest. In France, premier sommeil was considered the deep sleep that came right after sunset. In Italy, the doctor who invented the thermometer wrote that the first sleep was the foundation of a healthy life. Ekirch found over 2,000 references to this pattern, from Homer's Odyssey to the diaries of Samuel Pepys. From African travelogues to South American missionary accounts, everyone, everywhere described the same thing. Humans didn't always sleep in one block. They slept in 2. Here's what a night actually looked like for your ancestors. The sun went down around 7 or 8 p.m. Without electric lights, there wasn't much to do. Families gathered around the hearth. They talked, they told stories, they drank something warm. By 9 p.m., people were in bed. This was first sleep. Deep, dream-rich, regenerative sleep. It lasted about 3 to 4 hours. Then, sometime around midnight or 1 a.m., people woke up naturally. No alarm, no anxiety. This was normal. They got out of bed. Some lit a candle and read. Others prayed. The Catholic Church even had specific prayers for the wakeful interval. Some had sex. Medieval medical texts recommended the period between first and second sleep as the best time for conception. Others visited neighbors. Some smoked pipes, shared a drink, or did small chores. This wakeful period lasted about 1 to 2 hours. Then they went back to bed for second sleep. Another 3 to 4 hours, and they woke at dawn, fully rested, total sleep, 7 to 8 hours, just like modern recommendations, but delivered in 2 shifts, not 1. If you think this sounds like a European quirk, think again. Ekirch found evidence of segmented sleep across the entire globe. In Africa, the Hausa people of Nigeria referred to first sleep as a natural phase. In South America, indigenous communities in the Amazon followed the same pattern. In Southeast Asia, traditional sleep practices divided the night into 2 periods. In Australia, Aboriginal Dreamtime traditions reference the wakeful interval. In 2015, a study led by Jerome Siegel at UCLA tracked sleep patterns in 3 pre-industrial societies: the Hadza of Tanzania, the San of Namibia, and the Semene of Bolivia. These are groups living without artificial light, exactly the conditions our ancestors lived in for 300,000 years. The finding? None of these groups slept in a single 8-hour block. Their sleep was flexible, segmented, and responsive to the environment. They went to sleep after sunset, woke for periods during the night, and sometimes napped during the day. In Madagascar, a study by anthropologist David Sampson found the same pattern among the Maikia people. Even more striking, when Sampson gave half the group artificial lights for a week, their sleep shifted. They started going to bed later and having more fragmented sleep. The pattern changed within 1 week. This is where the story gets beautiful. The period between first and second sleep wasn't wasted. It was cherished. In pre-industrial Europe, the wakeful interval was called the watching period. People described it as the most peaceful, reflective time of the day. No demands, no expectations, just quiet presence. Medical texts from the 1500s warned against skipping the wakeful interval. They said it was essential for digestion, for emotional processing, and for what they called the nightly purification of the mind. Modern neuroscience actually supports this. The transition between sleep and wakefulness is when the brain consolidates memories and processes emotions. The wakeful period between two sleep blocks may be the brain's natural solution for emotional regulation. Your ancestors used this time to think, to reflect, to be present with the people they loved in the quiet dark, to process the day before resetting for the next one. They didn't call it insomnia, they called it living. So when did we lose this pattern? Two things happened. The first was the invention of street lighting. Starting in the 17th century, wealthy European cities began installing oil lamps on major streets. By the 19th century, gas lamps were common. And by the early 20th century, electric lights had transformed the night. Humans could now stay awake past sunset, and we did. The second was the Industrial Revolution. Factory shifts required synchronized schedules. You couldn't go to bed at 9 p.m. when the night shift needed you at midnight. You couldn't take a reflective, wakeful interval when your factory whistle blew at 6 a.m. Sleep became compressed into a single, rigid block. By 1920, the phrase first sleep had disappeared from everyday English. Within 2 generations, humans had forgotten they ever slept differently. A pattern that lasted 300,000 years was gone in 200. Here's the part that matters. If you wake up at 3 a.m. and can't fall back asleep, you've been told this is a problem. You've probably Googled, why do I wake up at 3 a.m.? You've read articles about cortisol spikes and stress and sleep hygiene. You've tried melatonin, blackout curtains, and white noise machines. But what if your body isn't broken? What if it's remembering something your culture forgot? Of course, waking up in distress with a racing heart or anxiety is not the ancestral pattern. That's modern stress hijacking an ancient biological rhythm. But a calm, natural awakening around 1 to 3 a.m., followed by a restful period of reflection before returning to sleep, that's not insomnia. That's your evolutionary inheritance. The problem isn't the waking. The problem is how we react to it. We check our phones, we turn on bright lights, we lie in bed and spiral into anxiety about not sleeping, all of which triggers a stress response which makes sleep impossible. Your ancestors didn't have phones. They had darkness, candlelight, and time to think. They treated the wakeful period as a gift, not a malfunction. Here's the uncomfortable possibility. We've spent decades trying to optimize sleep. Sleep trackers, blue light glasses, perfect temperature control, expensive mattresses. And yet, insomnia rates have tripled in the last 40 years. 1 in 3 adults now reports chronic sleep disruption. We've never been more obsessed with sleep, and never worse at it. What if the missing piece isn't a better mattress or a new supplement? What if the missing piece is permission? Permission to wake up at 3 a.m. without panicking. Permission to lie in the dark and think. Permission to accept that your body might be running software that's 300,000 years old. And that software might still be doing exactly what it was designed to do. Your ancestors slept in 2 shifts for 300,000 years. You've been calling it insomnia, but maybe you're not broken. Maybe you're ancestral. So next time you wake up at 3 a.m., don't reach for your phone. Don't force yourself back to sleep. Lie there. Let your mind wander. Think about what you're grateful for. Listen to the quiet. That wakeful interval used to be the most sacred part of the night. And maybe, just maybe, it still could be. This is Homo Strange. We treat humans as the strange species they are. And sometimes, the thing you thought was broken is actually the most ancient, most human part of you still working.